Hey everyone, I hope everyone's doing really great. I want to start this video before anything sending you guys a lot of love through these chaotic and crazy times that we're in. The overall energy right now is pretty horrible. I know that. I recognize that. And I just want to give you guys a lot of love and a pat on the back basically for dealing, and each and every one of you are dealing with this in your own way. And we're all doing our best. So I'm here to not give any kind of judgment or put any kind of judgment on any one of you, regardless of who you are in relation to me, whether I know you, whether I don't know you. You might have met me, you might have not, we might have had an argument at some point, we may not speak anymore, whoever you are. This video today is about unconditional love, because this is something we really need to master. Okay, this is something we need to understand and learn, because it's it's like the 101. It's the most basic rule in healing. And I see so many people out there in the groups, online, just in general, people I speak to, who claim to be spiritual and know all this stuff, and it's fine to be textbook, savvy when it comes to being spiritual and knowing things like what the chakras are and Reiki and things like that, but that's fine and all, but it's beyond that too. We've come here to first of all relate to what a 3D world is. A lot of us are coming from the higher dimensions, especially the ones watching this who are light workers. We're coming from higher dimensions, and while we do know a lot of things, it's important not to develop an ego. The highest masters out there in that sense, the most wise of them all, are the most humble ones. Okay, so we really need to learn a bit more humility out there, just in a general message to everyone. Learn a little more humility, learn to be more humble, learn that while you can teach, you can also still be learning. We're constantly in that teacher student relationship, so just know that that's really important right now. So unconditional love, this is something I really want to talk about today. Okay, whatever journey you're on, whatever stage of your journey that you're on right now, just love yourself and understand that you're doing amazing wherever you are right now. And I just wanted to start the video off saying that to everyone. I will talk about a few things today in relation to this, topic of unconditional love and what it is, because in the 3D realm, we'll call it, in the 3D world, it's all about conditional love, and that's why it's a great place to learn lessons. And this is why we come here. We're all in a soul contract of some kind, and we have chosen the lessons, and we've chosen the right environment, you could say, which it does include the earth family you chose, that you incarnated onto, and that helped you learn the specific lesson that you chose. So I do feel at this point it's better to share personal experience, just from what I've seen, feedback on my videos, speaking to other people going through things. They'll relate more when you speak of your own experience on it. So I figured today it's a little bit personal for me, because my childhood was very traumatic. So I don't like to get into details, because I've really worked on healing from that. So speaking about it, I know it technically shouldn't affect me, but sometimes it does, certain parts of it that I have sort of put to peace and put to rest, because I experienced a lot of different kinds of abuse in my childhood, not sexual, but physical, emotional, mental, narcissistic relationships, things like that, control, just, I guess narcissistic people in general is the best term that I would use to describe the family that I chose in general. So to start this video off, what I'm trying to talk about is unconditional love versus conditional love. How can you even recognize it? How do you even know? So the first thing is unconditional love, which is all about being in 5D. This is why I'm talking about this, because this is where we're headed right now. So unconditional love is the 5D frequency, and it's a frequency, and it's pure acceptance. It's pure acceptance of it all. it's really hard in the 3D because we have duality in 3D. It's hard to experience that. That's why a lot of us have a hard time. So basically, in 3D, people are all about their ego. It's a very narcissistic, based on narcissistic needs. I call it, another term I use is energy vampires, okay? Because they haven't learned to balance their energy. They're projecting constantly the traumas and the things and the duality from that realm. So unhealed trauma is definitely playing out, okay? Unequal energy exchange, constant unequal energy exchange, and this relates to the energy vampire because they're sucking your energy. They don't know how to connect to source and get their energy that way. They're instead finding these other ways of almost vampiric ways of getting energy from others. And the, conditional, that's why it's called conditional love. It's the, I love you if you do this. I love you if you behave this way. Okay? If you conform to the family and the way that we do things, and the way that we live our lives, then you're on great terms with us. We'll give you everything you want. Usually that's in the 3D, that's referring to material things, okay? So that's sort of what it is about. It's not about unconditional. So if you're the black sheep of the family and you want to go and venture out and do something that's totally different and unorthodox from what your family's used to, and they say to you, no, you can't do that. And if you do that, well, you're basically outcast from the family. We're not going to support you in that. Well, that's conditional love, because unconditional is, hey, you're my child and this is what your passion is, and whatever that may be, even if it's not something I personally agree with or have interest in, let's say, or that, our community supports or think is a good thing to do, then it doesn't matter. I mean, you're my kid and that's it. I love you and I'll support you anyways. That's unconditional love. Okay, just to give you an idea. Okay, and that can be in terms of relationships, if you're with somebody because of something, or if they're with you because of something. So if they're with you because you give them, security in terms of financial security, I don't know, they're part of your community, let's say, so your parents approve of them. It's just it works out, it's convenient. Well, that's still very 3D, okay? Because is that person really let's call them your twin flame? Is this the right person for you? You know this, okay? So yeah, just to compare that to unconditional love, okay? And unconditional love, when I'm talking about this, you should really be thinking about yourself first in this sense. Like, love, it starts with you. You cannot possibly love anyone else if you haven't loved yourself. And it's kind of a messy and painful process to get to that point where you truly do love yourself. You might even have this crazy moment like I did, and I want to share it with you. I really do, because it was very intense and powerful for me. It happened very spontaneously, and it happened sort of in the middle of the night, like early wee hours of the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, kind of woke up, and I just had this very spiritual, emotional experience where I connected with my inner child, basically. And I felt this love that was not like any other that I had ever experienced before, for myself. And it was so emotional that I actually broke out and I started crying because I saw my inner child. Like, I saw her. I saw me as a little girl. And I basically started getting, what happened was I woke up in the middle of the night. It's always like that. I always wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and something happens. So this time I went to the bathroom and I just had this moment, and I just started crying, and I started hugging myself. But while I was hugging myself, I saw the little girl, this scared little girl basically in all these situations, and they kind of came like flashbacks of my childhood, of these moments that caused trauma in me, in my DNA, I guess. Just crazy moments in my childhood, because my parents separated when I was very young, and there was just a lot of moments, things that happened, it was just a lot of hate at that time, There was just a lot of conflict between my parents and between their, families. A lot of moving around, traveling and moving around. My mom taking me somewhere, my dad taking me, and I'd go 1 or 2 years in one country with my mom and my mom's side of the family. And sometimes she wouldn't even tell my dad about that. She would just kind of take us. So my dad would think we were like missing, and he'd put missing kids, signs up everywhere. Only to find out my mom had taken us and never even said anything. So it was just a lot of chaos during that time. A lot of, traumatic things, and I'm not going to get into detail, but there was a lot of things related to drugs and prostitution in my early childhood, and I would say from earliest I can remember, which was about 4 years old. And I remember a lot of just moments that, me and my brother were just abandoned. We were just so vulnerable. We felt completely uncared for. We were put in situations where, honestly speaking, we could have died or been taken advantage of in very bad ways. We could have been trafficked. There was days, sometimes we weren't even watched. So, you know what I mean? We went through a lot of trauma in that sense. But, and I'm just shocked that, I could have gone so many different ways. I really could have. But I always knew that I had this higher purpose, and I had this team of angels and something that was, I didn't know. My awakening started a few years ago. I'm 31 now. I just turned 31, and this happened 3 years ago, roughly. So it's been about 3 years for me since I actually realized who I was, that I'm a light worker, what my mission was here, my past lives, my actual higher self. I had some supernatural experiences too that gave me the confirmations I needed of where I come from, things like that. So, the journey for everyone is different and individual. But yeah, so basically that night I just hugged myself, and I had these flashbacks to these moments as a child, and I saw and I hugged myself, and I was like, oh my God, like I love you so much for going through those things, and I wish I could have taken care of you during that time, but I'm so proud of you that you stayed so strong and you didn't make any crazy bad life choices at all. You actually stayed on the right track no matter how alone you were, because I left home. I wouldn't say ran away, because I was already in my second year of university, but I definitely left on my own, and I didn't really have any real plan other than being in university, and I had to go through a lot of stuff and take on 2 jobs and finish through. But I'm proud, and I finished through on my own, and I graduated, and I'm really proud of myself for that. And along the way I stayed very disciplined, and that's just kind of who I've always been. But I was always told as a child the opposite. I was always, my family's insecurities were always projected onto me. And I was told, about all the bad things, I guess, of who I am, things like that. Who I wasn't. It was just who I was told. So it's important to know who you are, and not just listen to what other people tell you, they think you are, who they think you are. Because it's not about that. It's who are you, And you have to be strong in that. So love yourself. If you don't love yourself, who's going to love you? You're a person too, be careful about with your self-talk, how you talk to yourself. Like, if you wouldn't say it to your 5-year-old son or your 5-year-old child, like, don't say that to yourself either, because you are a person, you have feelings. If you wouldn't say it to somebody else, don't say it to yourself. Love yourself, okay? And when you love yourself, it's crazy, because you do have a crazy experience, and then you start to have a different perspective on life, because you start to you really, whatever you see out in the world is a projection of how you are inside. You know what I mean? It really is. When you hate yourself, think about it. When you're not happy, when you hate yourself, you think oh my God, I'm super overweight, let's say. Okay, I'm just giving a scenario here. That was me at one point when I was a bit younger. I thought I was overweight. I wasn't happy with my body image. I wasn't happy with my emotions, because I had a lot of traumas, and I was totally quiet. I was made to be silent all the time, things like that. So I couldn't speak. I had a very blocked throat chakra. I was silenced constantly as a child. I wasn't allowed to voice myself, and I got in trouble all the time. So I didn't want to voice myself, because anything I said got me in trouble. So I had a lot of healing to do in that sense. okay? I had a lot of healing to do in that sense. A lot of things working against me to wake me up. But I did finally, and when I realized, I really, till now, I love myself a lot for everything I went through and who I've become. So I encourage every one of you to work on that. Work on that. Start talking to yourself differently in your head. Start recognizing the things that you've been through and who you are today as a result. And think about where you could have gone, the alternate, and very at that time likely, like you could have made bad choices. You could have, and you didn't. So give yourself the credit. Give yourself the credit and start changing how you talk to yourself. And you're going to see what a change in your reality. You will see that reflected on the outside. It's going to make miracles happen. So, and abundance comes with this, by the way. Unconditional love, I've come to realize something, it's like a formula, let's say. Unconditional love equals abundance. It's the frequency that it attracts and goes along with it. Self-love. Unconditional love for yourself, and that as a result, you will have that for the rest of the world. Pure acceptance. And pure acceptance of each unique being, okay, of each unique being. Equal energy exchange. This will result in equal energy exchange with other people. When you love yourself, you're saying to the universe, I deserve everything that I want and that I love because I love myself. You know what I mean? And you're going to get that back. That's abundance. That's what that is. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you. Let's see here. You know, when you're going from 3D to 5D, in the 3D, you're very much stuck in this victim mentality where everything is happening to you. Okay? So you're going to see a lot of projection. When you're in 5D, nothing is happening to you. You are in charge of your reality. You know that. And you take full responsibility for the reality that you're creating for yourself. You become a master manifester. That's the term I like to use. My husband is a master manifester. He didn't even know it. I used to tell him constantly. He's only realizing it now. I tell him it's like magic. He just waves his hands and whatever he wants materializes in that sense. You know, he has it with his businesses and things. He has these crazy ideas, and he's very good at, you know, sticking to his ideas. And now it's come to a point where, like, he's already on the 5D, definitely, and he just has these, he puts it out to the universe, and he gets exactly, like, the details, like the people, the programmers that he wants, you know, that he needed for his project that he's working on. He got, like, the graphic designer that he was looking for specific, and he got, oh my gosh, like, the universe just gave him everything, like, on a silver platter. He's now starting to realize that he's a master manifester, and we all are. It's just a matter of understanding how it works. And then you do it automatically, like naturally, day to day. You manifest things like this. This is 5D. Things happen much faster. Let's see. I want to talk about duality really quick before I move on to the last part of this video, which is what's happening in our bodies right now as we move to 5D. But something about 3D is super important to understand is duality, or polarity, you could call it. And this is important to understand because a lot of us, we get into victim mode in 3D because we're like, why is this happening to us? Why was I born in this country and not that country? Or why was I born into this family and not into like a rich family or something like that? To understand this, first you have to understand that when we come here to Earth, before we come to Earth, we choose the lessons we want to learn. So let's say, for example, you choose the lesson that you want to learn, which is, let's say this one that we're talking about today, love, okay? To learn what is love. Let's say unconditional love. Specifically in this lifetime, you chose, I want to learn what is unconditional love. So to understand what is unconditional love, you first need to understand what is, we can say, conditional love, the opposite, okay, of that. So in order to do that, you need to, first of all, be in an environment where you know what is conditional love. If you're just told this is conditional, like, you know what I mean? There's no way to learn that. You first have to be given the opposite. Because this is a free will universe that this is a free will planet, okay, that we incarnate into on Earth. So it's a great place to learn these lessons on duality. Duality is good or bad, you know, evil, good, that kind of thing. love, hate, things like that. So we learn these lessons. When we learn what's fear, for example, then we learn how to fully surrender. You know what I mean? When we learn, I don't know, there's so many different things that you can learn on 3D that involves duality, okay, opposites. So we learn the extreme opposite in order to learn the opposite, if that makes sense. And this is how we shift. So yeah, just go within, identify your traumas, and where your programming is, your triggers. Okay, I mentioned that in my previous video on how to deprogram, so you can check that out. Identify that, where you're putting the blame out, where you're putting yourself and making yourself the victim. That's where you need to heal, okay? That's where you need to take your power back and love yourself, definitely. So yeah, I just want to now shift this to our bodies, because right now a lot's happening in our physical bodies, and I'm sure everyone's feeling it. But our bodies are going through a major transition right now from carbon to crystalline base. And I've talked about this a lot. In my first videos, actually, that I uploaded, I talked about this. So there's a physical change going on, as well as on a quantum level going on our bodies. We have to first understand that we have multiple bodies. Yes, we have our physical bodies, but we also have our etheric bodies, the light bodies. So, you can't physically see it right now, of course, like I said, with these eyes, but on a quantum level, on our DNA level, we're getting all these kinds of activations going on. We're originally shouldn't say originally, but for the longest time, we've been an active 2-stranded DNA being, and we're going back to the 12-stranded DNA, which is actually our original blueprint. Okay, our DNA is originally 12-stranded. They called it junk DNA this whole time, but it's not really junk. Okay, and we'll soon learn this. In the science world, it'll be revealed. It already is. So it's not only 12-stranded; it's also multi-dimensional. There's other dimensions to our DNA that, as our technology advances and we as a society advance, we'll be able to see this. So as our DNA is activating more and more, our abilities as humans, I like to call humans angelic humans, because that's really what we are. These abilities start to pop up and start to activate, like psychic abilities, telekinesis, telepathy, things like that. It's very exciting stuff. So slowly over time, these things start to get activated. But right now, specifically this time that we're in right now, what's happening is there's a lot of light coming into our planet, solar light from the cosmos, light that our eyes can't physically see as well, but it's activating that crystalline part of our light bodies at the same time, that crystalline aspect, as well as in our DNA. So our bodies now are originally carbon based, are actually shifting to a crystalline, so crystal based. We actually have these dormant crystals in our bloodstream, in our DNA and everything, that are being activated. We actually have natural crystals in our body constantly, as well as in our brain. They just haven't discovered this yet, but it will be. And as you know, crystals, they're generators basically of energy. They are storehouses of energy, of information as well. So as these little tiny, I'll call them quantum crystals, because they are, get activated as well, that part of our light bodies is getting activated, and our aura, which usually people can see till about here, is actually being extended. It's expanding. And if you look now and you can see auras, maybe you'll see that the auras have expanded much more all around us, including the Earth star chakra, which is about, I don't even know exactly, but it's probably like this much or so under your feet, like into the earth, or maybe something like that much roughly. But it's like a magenta kind of color, and once that gets activated, which everyone now will be, that's also where abundance starts to come from, because that's where your unconditional love frequency also gets activated. And by the way, that unconditional love frequency is the frequency of the angelic realms. So when you start to tap into that frequency, you start to tap into the angelic realms, and your communication with them starts to become a lot more intense. I've been getting crazy communications. Like, I've been woken up literally, when I check my phone, it's like 444, in the middle of the morning, or 222. And I've been having a lot of dreams and things like that, a lot more communications with them. So you'll notice this. Our bodies are literally holding more light now, like I said earlier, about the light coming in and the crystalline activating. So our bodies are literally holding more light, and that requires light foods. And I say this time and time again, start changing your diet, stop eating gluten, or really minimize it out of your diet, because that calcifies your pineal gland, which in turn blocks your chakras, and we don't want to do that. Start eating light foods, be more conscious of the foods you're eating. Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, lighter foods, earthy foods, not processed foods, a lot more liquids, water, things that are good for your body that hydrate you, and try and change, because one thing is, as humans, our diets are very acidic. Start to change your diet to become more alkaline, okay? And the reason, by the way, they've done this is because when it's an acidic environment in your body, that starts to create cancer and illnesses and disease and things like that. And they do that on purpose, okay? So actually our body should be alkaline. And there's many ways to make your body alkaline, from foods to baking soda, mixtures, things you can drink. But mainly, I always say in diet, that's the best way in what you're eating. So start to go on research on Google alkaline foods and start to change your diet and make your body more alkaline, less acidic. This is really going to help you to detox as well, okay? Definitely. And eat lighter foods. Definitely eat lighter foods. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. I'm going to end this because we're almost at 30 minutes. But yeah, definitely the emphasis of this video is unconditional love, and learn to love yourself first. Learn how to love yourself, okay? See that inner child, if that helps you to get in touch with that. Look at yourself, but as that little kid again, for whatever traumas you went through, and you'll see the kind of reaction that you feel, and that's going to start to help you to get a different perspective and start that journey to really healing yourself, and no longer projecting and being in victim mentality. And that's going to totally help you leave that 3D matrix, life behind, and now ascend and stop learning those lessons, and finally be a part of 5D and abundance, and really living as we as humans should be living, which is abundance for everyone. So yeah, I just want to send you guys a lot of love. Take care, love yourself, take care of yourself. Please, in doing that, you're going to project this crazy, beautiful energy, and miracles start to happen for you. So sending you guys so much love. Take care of yourselves. Leave any comments from me. My links are down below for Facebook. I have a group that I run, an amazing group that is totally, freedom of speech. You can post whatever you want, as long as, you have good intentions, of course. And I have 2 pages. I have Instagram, so I'm constantly sharing information out there. It's called Truth Seekers 5D Earth Knowledge. And I'm very much an activist of the, hashtag Save Our Children. I'm totally about that. So I share constant information about that if you're interested in those platforms, on those platforms. So take a look and take care. Sending you a lot of love, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.